Let's go to Warriors and Rockets. A game 7 in Houston. Steph Curry, Alperen Şengün getting ready. Rockets looking to become the 14th team to overcome a 3-1 series deficit. First quarter, Jimmy Butler, tough three, gets it. Warriors take the 3-point lead. A little later, Rockets down 4, Fred Van Vliet air ball, and then Thompson with the cleanup. Back and forth they went early on. Steph Curry did not have much of a half scoring wise, but Buddy Hield stepping up. How about that dish from Curry? Flipping it blind back over his shoulder, and Buddy wasn't missing. It was his world in the first half. Last seconds of the quarter, see what I mean? From just inside half court, launch and hit. 40-something feet out. Buddy Hield puts the Warriors up 4 after 1. Warriors up 8 now. Draymond over to Hield. Hield hitting everything he sees. Steph not scoring in half one, but finding Hield. Nothing but net. Warriors open up a 14-point lead a little later. Butler to Hield. Up fake. Create a little space. Leave the fingers up. 6 threes in the half. Most in a first half in a game 7 ever. Warriors up 14. And then Steph, who was scoreless to this point, finally scores in the last minute of the first half. Warriors up 12 at the break. Third quarter. Rockets trying to get back in this. Alperen Şengün and then Thompson. Rockets chipping away a little later. Şengün playing some bully ball. Can't get it to go, but what a flip in by Thompson. Rockets cut it to 7. Then a man, Jabari Smith Jr. out there outside. Got it. It's a 3-point game, but just when the mojo is flowing Houston's way, Jimmy stepping up. Another tough corner 3. Warriors up 8 after 3 to the fourth quarter. Curry finally warms to the task. Puts it on the deck, gets it to go. You get a layup, and then you start to find your outside shot. Steph drills a triple. Warriors up by 13. And then Draymond back to Buddy. Hield hits another one. Warriors up by 10. Next possession. Curry again. Not settling for outside shots. Puts it on the floor. Warriors up by 12. But you loosen them up that way. Step back 3. Yeah, Steph fully engaged now. Next possession. Curry to Hield. Corner 3. Buddy had 33 in this game. Steph, 22, 10 boards, 7 assists. And the Warriors knock off the Rockets on Houston's home floor by 14. And as you can see, it's not new for Steve Kerr. Now 3-0 in game 7s away from home. It's the most road wins in game 7 by any head coach in league history. The Warriors now face the Timberwolves in the second round while the Rockets go home empty-handed despite being the 2 seed.
All right, for more on this Game 7 win, Kendrick Perkins joins the show. And Perk, the Warriors, they really showed that championship DNA closing out this Game 7. What was the key for them in this game?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was an impressive series all across the board. You talk about a brawl for it all. But when you look at Golden State and people think of Golden State, they think of offense because you had the greatest shooter that God has ever created. And you think about the Splash Brothers, but they forget about the other side of the basketball and them what they do on the defensive side of things, which helped them win championships. They locked down when they want to, especially Steph Curry. Tonight was one of those nights where I'll go back to the last championship against the Boston Celtics where in the NBA Finals, he was sliding his feet, doing all the little things when he was struggling to score in that first half. That's leadership. And then all of a sudden, there was a ripple effect. We saw Pajemski. He was getting in there, getting dirty. We know what Draymond and Jimmy are going to bring to the table. All of a sudden, Buddy Hield comes up with a block. So, again, the defensive side of things was huge tonight for the Golden State Warriors, holding the Rockets to 89.
Yeah, for sure, the defensive side. But you mentioned a couple guys there, and Steph, who just had 3 at the half and finished with 22, and then Buddy going off in the first half. Bert, how big is that for this team moving forward? They've got the defense that you want right now, but offensively, when Buddy Hield is able to kind of pick up the pieces if Steph is having an off night.
Well, it's going to be huge, especially going against Minnesota, because everybody was wondering who's going to be that third guy to step up, for scoring-wise, right? We thought it was going to be Jonathan Kuminga, but they need to sit him down for the rest of the playoffs because mentally he's not there. But Buddy Hield tonight, especially in that first half, was huge for them. But that's what leadership does, right? It rubs off on guys. And so we're watching a guy play with confidence. We're watching the coach believe in them. Steph trusts him. Draymond Green trusts him. And I thought when you get that production from those role players like a Buddy Hield, I thought bringing in Kevon Looney tonight was huge for Golden State. Big minutes from him. We know he has that championship pedigree. It's going to be huge for them going down the line. They're going to need that because Steph and Jimmy, they're going to draw so much attention. You're going to need somebody to step up and take that pressure off of those guys offensively.
It definitely was Buddy Hield tonight with those 33 points. When you see him going down like that from the outside, everybody was looking confident out there. On the other side of the things, this Rockets team, they've got a great coach. They've got young talent. What do they need to look for moving forward?
They need a closer. And I tried to defend Jalen Green. I mean, look, I think his future is bright. It just don't need to be with the Rockets, right? And they have a lot of attractive pieces. If I'm the Rockets, I got to address the issue of shooting and a closer. And I'm going after Kevin Durant. I'll package up Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore, and Jabari Smith and some draft picks and go out and get KD. Not Giannis, but Kevin Durant. And you pair him alongside Amon Thompson, Şengün with Fred VanVleet and key big Steven Adams, and now you rocking with something. They just didn't have enough offensive firepower tonight, especially when the Warriors locked in on Fred VanVleet, who had been, giving them their work over the last 3 games.
Finished with just 89 points in this Game 7 loss to the Warriors. They'll look ahead to next season. Warriors, as you mentioned, will look ahead to the Timberwolves on Tuesday. Perk, much more from him coming up on SportsCenter.
Still to come, much more from.
And Jimmy Butler had a special game tonight, no doubt about that. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. How about Draymond Green setting the tone offensively and defensively? 16, 6, and 5. Steph Curry dropped a double-double, his 23rd career playoff double-double. But this Game 7 will forever be known as the Buddy Hield game as he scores a playoff career high 33 points, nails 9 threes, and the Warriors eliminate the Houston Rockets for the 3rd time in the last 5 years, of course, down in H-Town, and they will advance to the second round to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we'll talk all about it here on Toyota Warriors Post-Game Live with the Hall of Famer Chris Woolen, NBA champion Festus Ezeli, another champion Juan Toscano-Anderson. I am Bonte Hill. And are you not entertained, Fezzy Phil? The Warriors brought the intensity from the jump, and they got some big-time help from Buddy Hield.
Bonte, we're still working. We're still working moving forward. I am entertained. All right. This was a great game. This was a great series. I got to give it to the Houston Rockets. This whole series, they fought, well coached, very well disciplined defensively. They fought, they got better as the season went along. Tonight in the Game 7, this is where your veterans, your experience comes into play. Buddy Hield was huge in the first half. 22 big ones gave the Warriors a lead, a double-digit lead. And I thought him and Draymond, that lead they got in the first half, they just never relinquished it.
JT, how about that defense, though? Draymond Green showed up after having a tough series in the first 6 games. We discussed his offense, how they needed it, and he came out and scored 8 quick ones in that first quarter.
Absolutely. First game in double digits of the series, but what impresses me the most is his protection of the rim. Obviously, they're a lot smaller than Houston is. They don't have a real rim protector, but he's there. His presence is there. His impact is there. So it's really impressive what he's doing at the rim.
And, of course, the chef saving his best for last. Only 3 points at the half, Bully. He finishes with 22, scoring 19 of those 22, obviously in the final 2 quarters.
22 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Another dynamic performance by Steph. But to me, the story of the game was taking care of the basketball. Just 7 turnovers for the Warriors. When they were under 10, they're almost unbeatable. And then the 3-point shots. Plus 36 from the 3-point line. I thought they did a great job controlling the game. As you mentioned, Monte, the first quarter they won, which was important. I thought Draymond's start to the game really put everyone at ease. And then you talk about the ultimate X factor. Buddy Hield in Game 6 has 0.
0 for 4.
So I'm not quite sure he climbed up the scouting report. But if they were playing the game tomorrow, he'd be at the top of the scouting report because he got 33 tonight.
No doubt about that. The Warriors now improved to 47-5 when they take a lead into the 4th quarter. But let's go back down to H-Town to Fitchibuki, who's talking to Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler, 44 minutes, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Tell us about that Game 7, the 5th one of your career.
It was a good one. It ended in a win the way we wanted, the way we expected it to. And a lot of guys stepped up in a big way. And we got one on the road finally.
And talk to me about how good you guys were defensively. Spectacular. Draymond Green was amazing. You were amazing, baiting guys into things, staying home, defending without fouling for the most part. What were the talks like coming into this one when it comes to shoot around, what you guys were going to do on the defensive end?
Just be more physical, put body on body, hit, get those loose balls, get those rebounds. I think we did a great job of that tonight, and that was key. And we didn't turn the ball over.
Big. Great job by everybody on the team except Buddy. Is Buddy included tonight? 33 points.
I played the 5th.
Amazing.
Jimmy, tell us about the journey of you after the trade, coming here, the success of the Warriors, how you fit in so seamlessly, how you've been a leader along with Draymond and Steph. Just, you have so accomplished in your career, but what's this journey been like with the Dubs?
A great one. It's always, like I always say, it's always good to be wanted and appreciated for your skill set and for your talents. And here, they welcome me with open arms. They let me be the player that I am. And they help me fit into what they do so incredibly well. And they got some hell-of-a vets, some Hall of Famers that I get to play alongside.
You had 20 points tonight. You ended up with that. It looked like a lot of the game, you were kind of diagnosing it, passing it, making plays, driving to pass at the right times. But then when it was the right time for you to drive and score or score on a grenade or whatever it is or an ISO, you also did that. Talk to me about how you diagnosed the game mentally for you.
I always just take what the defense gives me, whether it be a jump shot, a three some of the times, get into the paint. But I pride myself on finding my guys, make sure that they get their shots, they get their confidence, and they get their reps within the game. And I will continue to do that.
How do you show restraint with all the physical play and get shoved in the back and you flagrant foul on Şengün the last game? You never respond. You let the officials deal with it, and you maintain your composure.
I talked to Dre before every game, and he said, don't do it because we can't have two people out there doing it. So thanks to Dre, he's the one that gets to fire off on everybody, and I just sit back and relax.
Hey, Jimmy, we really appreciate you stopping. Been unbelievable watching you play. And get ready for coffee and Domino's in Minnesota.
And kids.
And kids. There we go.
Yeah, forget about kids.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy. We appreciate
y'all.
it. All right, Jimmy Butler the third. Coffee, Domino's, kids in the second round against the T-Wolves.
Yes.
The Warriors win it. Game 7. 103-89, getting it done defensively. And Minnesota is next.
The Warriors hold the Rockets to just 40% shooting. How about limiting Fred VanVleet? I know we got 2 3-point attempts late in that game, but for the most part, just 4 3-point attempts after he was red hot in the previous 3 games, going 18 to 27. The attention to detail, the Warriors' zone defense, but the turning point happened late in the third quarter. 63-60. Steve Kerr had to slow it down, said, I need a timeout. As Willie would say, a full. And that's you know, you get some big baskets by Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, some great defense. Here it is. Steven Adams with the offensive rebound. Jabari Smith Jr., decisiveness right there. Nails a big 3. Again, here's the timeout by Steve Kerr. Saying, all right, let's settle this thing down. Up 3, Mully.
As Marv would say, let's talk it over. And out of this timeout, Bonte, a big 3-point shot by Jimmy Butler. And here, just a great screen by Steph Curry. Open up the lane for Draymond Green. Nice layup. And then Draymond once again, the floater in the paint.
Look at the rim, Day. I love this.
And that's
nice
the shot
run there.
That's the shot that's been available for him and end up 8. Started the fourth quarter. Stephen Curry says, I got Jabari Smith on me. Clear the lane.
I got this.
And then Ahmed Thompson just falls asleep right there. That young man had a great series, but you can't fall asleep on the chef. Steph Curry nails a 3. And that was a pivotal 12-2 run to get the Warriors a double-digit lead that they would not relinquish, Fezzi Fell.
The start of the fourth was really important. Like I said, Steph was doing his community service in the first half, was assisting and creating shots for other guys. But in the fourth quarter, Steph was locked in. Tonight he played 45 minutes. So this is one of those games where you rely on all your starters. You rely on your vets. Jimmy Butler played 44. Steph played 45. I mean, in the game like this, Steph Curry stepped up toward the end. I just got to give Buddy Hield a lot of credit. His 33 points, it really lifted. It was 9 for 11 for the 3-point line. So when Steph Curry is double teamed, then you have somebody else hitting shots. Draymond Green was hitting shots. Buddy Hield was hitting shots. Gave Steph the space to be able to operate in the fourth.
You talked about the X factors. That was your call with Buddy Hield. He showed up. It showed out. That big 3 before the end of the first quarter from half court basically really got him rolling.
Absolutely. You see the ball go in, and obviously the floodgates open up. So I thought that was huge. That's why Golden State goes out, and they get a guy like Buddy Hield, knock down open shots, because you know, even before the season starts,
everybody's going to blitz Steph Curry. You have to get the ball out of Steph Curry's hands, so you need guys who are ready to shoot and knock down open shots.
There's been a lot of talk about that zone defense by Houston, and give them credit. They did a really good job. But when shots start going in, it also makes the Ime Udoka start thinking twice about that zone because it does yield shots. If you miss them, the pressure goes to the team that's missing. All of a sudden, you start knocking them down. That zone doesn't look too good anymore.
Sure, playoff career, yeah, no
18
doubt.
threes tonight.
No doubt. Playoff career high for Buddy Hield, 33 points, 9 of 11 in 37 minutes. And then a crunch time tape where the Warriors had control up 8. Houston, they couldn't buy a bucket in that fourth quarter. Great defense here. Şengün driving. And look, they did a great job on Şengün. He scored 21 points tonight, but it came on 23 field goal attempts. The Warriors got out and ran, and this was basically it over the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Van Vliet doubled here. Great hands by Buddy Hield. Tipped by Jimmy Butler, and then take foul, clear path foul right there. And that was basically
Great
all she
control
wrote.
of your emotions right here, Jimmy Butler. This was great. I mean, defense tonight was incredible for the Warriors. 89 points they relinquished to the Houston Rockets. This is how you win.
Yep.
You got to hold them to less than 90 points in a finals game, in a game 7. This was huge.
And just 14 assists for the Houston Rockets. The ball movement was non-existent. Just 6 of 18 from the three-point line. Jimmy Butler nails those free throws. Up 12 here. Jalen Green, give me this.
Jimmy Buckets.
That's your Marquette boy.
Yes, sir. He came alive in the end of the game, made some big shots. But, going back to what Fezzi said, I think what helped Golden State is they're making shots. So Houston's taking the ball out every time down, playing against a set defense. And obviously, as we all know, the numbers go up defensively when you're set on defense.
And by the way, when we talk about that Houston Rockets defense, a lot of the success was with Steven Adams in the game. And you made a good point. Like when they win the first quarter, it's hard to manipulate the game when you're playing from behind. Right. So when you're from behind, the one weakness of this Rockets team all season long has been consistent offense. I have spurts, that nice little spurt where they shot games 4, 5, and 6 over 40% from three-point range. We mentioned pregame. They did that once during the regular season. So the inconsistent execution offensively.
Moving on. Steph Curry and the Warriors looking to move on to the second round, taking on the Rockets. Steph doing Steph things with the step back tray to make it a 91-74 game with just under 3 minutes left in the contest. Look, the Warriors led by as many as 20. Houston got this one pretty fairly close, but weren't able to close it out in the third, and Golden State ran away with this one. Speaking of Curry finishing his night with 22 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, Buddy Hield leading the way with 33 on the day. But it wasn't quite enough as Golden State, the experience, the talent, the shooting of Steph Curry, they're moving on to the second round. Well, the Warriors' last ride, it ain't over just yet as we welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst Bill Ryder and former coach and player Avery Johnson. So, guys, I was talking about this throughout this entire series. You have this youth, you've got this experience, but it looks like experience did eventually outweigh the youth. The Warriors put things in overdrive as they'll be moving on. But, Coach, what stood out to you most from the Warriors' Game 7 performance?
Well, the Houston Rockets need to go back in the laboratory when you're trying to play a zone defense against the Golden State Warriors. And then when you play a zone defense against the Golden State Warriors, you cannot leave 2 people open, Steph Curry and Buddy Hield. The zone is designed to force non-shooters like Draymond Green to shoot threes consistently. But for some reason, they allow Buddy Hield to just go off in the first half. And then Steph Curry took over in the second half. Steph Curry on their pick and rolls should have been trapped and retrapped consistently. Somehow they allowed him to have shooting pockets and windows. But it was just a strategy of the Golden State Warriors. They left Amen Thompson open. They dared him to beat him because they didn't want any of their three-point shooters to really get ignited from behind the three-point line. So solid strategy by the Golden State Warriors. I don't know what the Houston Rockets were doing on defense.
Yeah, Coach is 100% right. And I'll just add that the combination of being young and inexperienced, Kiana, that you referenced, and the inability to shoot is a fairly toxic combination. Look, I think the Rockets have a really bright future. They're young. They were the 2 seed. This is incredible experience. Them Coach knows better than anybody. You got to kind of work your way up to that championship resume and that championship experience they hope to have someday. but they need some shooters. They need someone to go out there and create some offense. Jalen Green is way too inconsistent, was largely inconsistent in the series. I love Amen Thompson, but he's not a guy, at least from a shooting perspective yet, that has that in his arsenal. This was a tale of two very different teams, even though we were in a game 7. You had a squad in the Warriors who have been there, done that, and who obviously can hit shots when they had the chance. Coach just walked us through how Houston made that easier than they should have. And this is a Rockets team. Look, they get a lot of offensive rebounds. They get out in transition. They score a lot of points that way, but that's not going to get it done in a game 7 against a team like the Warriors.
Dub Nation, last night's game 7 was a roller coaster of emotions. The Golden State Warriors delivered a dominant 148-106 blowout win over the San Antonio Spurs, showcasing one of their best performances of the season. But the celebration was dimmed by a concerning development. Jonathan Kuminga re-injured his right ankle, the same one that previously sidelined him for 31 games this year. The injury happened in the second quarter during an aggressive drive to the basket. At first, it was feared to be a tailbone injury, similar to the one Stephen Curry sustained in 2021. Fortunately, tests later revealed it to be a new sprain in his right ankle. Kuminga will be re-evaluated tomorrow, but with the playoffs looming, the team's concern is valid. His presence is crucial, particularly for transition plays and versatile defense. Still, the Warriors' overall team performance was stellar. They posted their highest point total of the season, along with 42 assists, 17 steals, and 34 fast break points. Brandon Podziemski was electric, sinking 7 of 9 from three-point range. Moses Moody broke out of his slump, shooting 7 of 11 overall and 3 of 6 from deep. Defensively, Golden State was suffocating. The Spurs managed just 17 points in the second quarter. Jimmy Butler, responding to criticism for a lackluster showing in the previous game against the Pelicans, came out blazing. He brought energy early with steals and emphatic dunks, finishing with a perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line, an encouraging sign given his recent struggles. With a wide lead, Steve Kerr gave valuable minutes to the bench unit. Kevin Knox, Pat Spencer, and Trace Jackson-Davis all impressed in the fourth quarter. Jackson-Davis, in particular, stood out with his athletic finishes in the paint, reigniting calls for a larger role. With this win, the Warriors remain in 6th place in the Western Conference, avoiding the play-in zone for now. The race remains tight, with the Clippers slipping and the Grizzlies in turmoil after their coach was dismissed. The next matchup against Memphis will be critical for playoff positioning. As for Kuminga, his absence this season has impacted the team's defensive rotation. His return was seen as a vital boost. If this latest injury proves serious, it would be a major setback during a pivotal stretch. The team hopes he'll return soon with only 8 games left in the regular season. With Stephen Curry performing at an MVP level and the team hitting its stride, the Warriors are hoping for a late surge to lock in a playoff berth and avoid the play-in drama. But the big question looming now is, should the Warriors offer Kuminga a max contract? If they don't, would they be willing to match an offer from another team? It's a critical decision. Do they lock him in as a long-term piece or explore using him as trade capital? A reasonable proposal could be a 5-year, $150 million contract, which secures his future in the Bay without completely compromising salary cap flexibility. Whether that's the right move is up for debate. What do you think? Should the Warriors offer Kuminga the max deal? Share your thoughts in the comments. The remainder of the season is crucial. The Warriors must maintain momentum and continue building on this performance. And as the off-season approaches, all eyes will be on the front office. Will they pursue one last championship push or begin a financial restructuring? The decisions made over the next few months will shape the franchise's future, from potential rim-protecting additions in free agency to monitoring the trade market for high-impact moves. With Steph Curry's window still open, now's the time to act. Stay tuned for more updates on all things Warriors.